morning. This is Tampa Home Talk, and we've got an exciting couple of hours lined up for you this morning. And let's jump into market stats. It's interesting, Leo, because I look at the delayed stats. We've talked about this, right, that come out from like Florida Realtors and from NAR, and they are just now starting to say, oh, the numbers are improving.
Oh, because they're several months behind. I love that.
I mean, it's so delayed. Like, it feels like it's eons delayed, you know?
Well, that's why I like print media. It's yesterday's news tomorrow.
I can't wrap my brain around it. And I almost wanted to share one of the things I was looking at, but I was like, no, it's from NAR. So it's like national. And, you know, I want to be hyper local with Tampa Home Talk. But nonetheless, let's share the numbers for the week, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. 7/24/20. That's today. Wait, last week is 7/10. Where's our 7/17?
It's digital, actually. We do have it. Mimi, we'll have to grab the 7/17.
Yeah, I mean,
it was way up.
We're rocking. New listings are up. Solds are up. Pendings are a little bit down. Canceled or down. So yeah, this looks like this looks stronger than normal for our summer months.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to look at the fact of, it's kind of like the new listings, right? That's like what's coming. Mm-hmm. The pending is what people want to buy. We know that falls through, you know, for inspection or other reasons. And then the sold data, 1513. So I mean, that the sold data clearly is still higher than the new listings that are coming on the market.
Yeah, I mean, this is very, very strong. I mean, we hired 2 inspectors recently because we just can't service our clients fast enough.
Yeah, I know. Like, you guys we've been trying to schedule inspections because we got to write 7-day contracts, like 7-day inspection timelines to even get our offer accepted. We're putting that in with escalation clauses to get our offers accepted.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, what is everyone in one of the COVID lockdown states moving here?
It feels that way. That's
does.
For sure. So let me just explain what an escalation clause is for a moment, because that's a term that we use, but it's probably not a lay term the general public would be familiar with.
Do these escalation clauses happen rapidly?
Sort of, yeah. So what happens is, in a multiple offer situation, and we're seeing multiple offers on everything that is priced right, that shows well, that's, you know, ready to sell. And so the escalation clause says, we see a couple different ones. I don't put a cap up to a certain price because I don't feel like we need to. Like, when I represent the buyer on an as-is contract, they can get out of that contract for any reason on their inspection, right? So if they decide they forgot what color the doorknob was and they don't like it, they can get out, right?
And they'll blame the home inspector, and the seller will give us a nasty call.
Well, the bottom line is they don't have to blame the inspector at all, because technically we don't have to provide the inspection report to the other side.
And that's why the seller always blames us.
Right. So here nor there, but we explain that to our sellers going in. Look, the buyer can cancel for any reason.
Doorknob color.
Yeah. So I know there will come a time where we'll start to see these non-as-is contracts start to surface. And so the non-as-is, and I'm getting off track, but I'll come back to it. The non-as-is contracts actually have repair limits in there for the sellers. Mm-hmm. So it's 1.5% of the sales price for general repairs, 1.5% for wood destroying organisms, and 1.5% for something else we never see. I forget what it is because we haven't used that contract actually in years. But anyway, the as-is, they can cancel for any reason. The non-as-is, the buyers can't get out as easy, right? So right now, buyers are a dime a dozen and sellers have their pick. But when they're not a dime a dozen and the market starts to shift, we're going to start seeing more non-as-is contracts where they're going to have to provide the home inspection to prove that, you know, the repair limit is not exceeding 1.5%.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that. Well, actually, I'm looking forward to this right now because this is outrageous. This market's on fire.
So going back to the escalation clause, right now, what we're seeing is multiple offers, and we literally write the offer that just says, you know, if you get another bona fide offer that is, you know, more than our offer, we will pay $1,000 or whatever more than that highest offer. But obviously they have to provide proof, right? So they've got to give us the offer. We got to see the agent's name. We got to see all the terms.
You have to have a friend who put an offer in.
Well, let me tell you what, on those escalation clauses, we dig. Thank you, ma'am.
Well,
Here's your last week's number. So the escalation clause, that's what that is basically, you know, we're going to exceed any other offer. And so I've actually got a really fun guest joining us next hour. But I will tell you, you know, their property hit the market last week. We had 29 offers on that property
Oh,
In 1 week or how many
in
days?
one weekend.
This is interesting. This actually might be a good tell right here. Now that I'm looking at last week's data as opposed to 2 weeks ago data, we have leveled off.
I don't
The
know.
statistic difference between 717 and 710-24 is negligible. Look at all the numbers. They're negligible between the two.
I understand what you're saying, but I won't concur with this
They're
unless
not-
it consists week over
If
week.
we get one more week, it'll be proven. But I mean, the difference week over week, this is the first time we've seen this in a long time. It is basically not.
Now, what are we seeing price-wise?
So, well, I mean, what he's saying here, basically, price-wise, I'd have to pull. Right now, we're just looking at the general numbers.
The general numbers are looking.
So in 3 counties, Hillsborough, Pasco, Pinellas.
Yeah, it's negligible. There's not that nominal difference. I'm using all these terms that statistics people use that all mean the same thing. Negligible.
So
nominal.
what you're seeing. So for example, last week we had 1102.
And this week is 1108.
Same.
That's a sigma of 6, and when you divide that out, that's less than 0.5%.
All right, and pending, that's where we see the big difference.
Oh, pending 1870 versus 1800. Okay, that
So we had 70 more properties go pending last week versus this week.
3.5%, still negligible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see now if this continues to 731, we might have a cooling off, and we might actually just be in a nice hot market as opposed to just this on fire market.
So you're saying what, pending or sold? Where do you think that's going to show up first? I mean, pending, obviously.
Yeah, obviously pending.
But you think 70 properties in 3 counties over a week is enough to say you feel like the market's shifting or changing or modifying?
I'm saying it's leveling. I'm not saying anything about shifting or changing. It's just leveling.
I
It's
don't-
still going to
I-
be a great market.
I don't think 30 properties per county in 1 week is a leveling. I just don't. We'll see next week.
How does this compare to last year?
I ask that all the time, and
I
we
know,
never get that data.
yeah, because we weren't measuring
not out
it.
yet.
It's not out yet. Yeah, we're still waiting for the. Yeah, you missed my comment earlier.
Oh, I heard it on. I
Okay,
heard it
thank
on
you.
the ride in. Yes.
Yes.
We weren't measuring it every day until COVID hit. Because I was telling Leo, the data that we normally pull from that we were sharing on the air is so delayed, it's not accurate.
Yeah, but if
We
we're
can't
asking,
even use it.
if we're asking for data from a year ago, is it delayed more than a year?
It's harder than you think to pull. So the way Florida Realtors pulls it is not the same as the way we've been pulling it.
It's easy for me to pull. I just turn to Mimi and go, I need some data. And it
Yeah.
appears. Look, feel how warm this data is. This is hot off the well, not anymore.
Ooh.
It's cooled down a little
Yeah. It's not that fresh loaf of bread that you get at the table.
bit.
yet, you know?
No.
So we're starting to see different articles show up, right? Like one I saw said that it's official, U.S. won't see a housing bubble crash anytime soon, according to Housing Wire, which is, it's a very
They had to go out and
credible
jinx
source.
it, you know?
Wait. This is an article by Housing Wire, for Housing Wire, quoting Housing Wire?
No, Housing Wire
It's very
reported
meta.
it.
Thank you.
So they're talking about some of the data that mortgage bankers see.
Oh, I love charts.
Yeah, here you can chart and geek out and give my voice a break.
Well, I have to read the chart.
You're a speed reader, remember? You can read a whole book in like 15 minutes.
I do, but when they're making up statistics to prove their point and they have a graph, I have to
can't
read what the
wait.
graph is.
I can't wait to give my book to Leo because I wrote it. I've been in the process of writing it for almost a year.
This article is useless. The data
Now,
on
are
the
we going to
graph.
get some signed copies when this book is
Yes,
ready?
I'm actually going to have some advanced reader copies come out soon. But
This article's from April.
I'm going to test Leo and what he says. He says he can. How long does it take you to read a book?
If it's a business book
Yeah.
written in the traditional business book standpoint, I can read the whole book in about 90 seconds at most.
Okay, so I'm going to put him to the test. As soon as I get an advanced reader copy in my hand, I'm going to give you the book right before we go on the air. And I'm going to have some questions lined up
Okay.
I'm gonna wait for it to come out on Audible.
to see how much
How
you
long?
know.
How long does it take you to listen to a book on Audible? Do you do that thing where you speed it up?
I do.
It depends on what they're talking about.
I do. I found that I have to listen at, depending on the author or who's reading it, 1.25 to 1.5 times speed. Do you?
No.
I sometimes watch my
I just
movies
let it
that
ride.
way.
How many titles do you have in your library?
I only have like 3 or 4. I just never stick to it.
I have almost 400 books in
Wow.
my Audible library. I've had Audible since before Amazon owned them.
I just listen to music.
Like you need any more information in your brain, but okay. Yeah, no, I listen to a lot of business books. Anyway, I'll share a tip that I got this week from Brian Tracy. It was on
An insurance tip?
no, it was a conference call with Brian Tracy, well-known author. He's written about 80-some books
10 seconds.
in his 70s.
10 seconds.
He said something that stuck with me. I'm gonna share it when we come back.
813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775.
Are you looking for your
Well, good morning. Welcome back to 813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775 for all your Tampa home talk needs.
I was going to say, this is Tampa Home Talk. I'm your host. That's Leo Kane. I'm Katrina Madewell.
And we have Adam Talley.
And Adam's back.
Back. Yes. It
How
feels
was,
good
how
to
was
be
the
in.
beach?
Beach was very nice. It was good to get away for a
I
little
see
bit.
no tan.
He's a white boy.
There's tan in
There's
there.
no tan in there.
There's tan.
I don't believe you went to the beach.
Well, I had to work a little bit while I was there, but
The whole time?
Still went to the beach. That was
The
good.
seclusion of a curtained room.
You know, you did the beach right if you don't come back looking like a lobster, though. So
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, for me, that means like skin cancer. So, yeah, it's 50 all the way.
I would like the beach if they just get rid of the sand.
I like the sand. It's the sun I don't like.
I don't like the sand either. That.
Hey, you have your guest online.
Oh, we do.
Oh, speaking of what lives in the ocean. No, crocs.
Not exactly.
No, they don't live in the ocean.
They're saltwater crocs.
So we have Mr. Is it John Panner? Do I have it right?
Yes, it's John Panner.
And he's with Croc Encounters. My radio show coordinator thought that we needed more of a fun show. That our shows have been a little bit too intense the last several weeks, so we wanted to bring something a little bit fun to you guys this week. So Croc Encounters, originally from Buffalo, New York, and let's talk a little bit about what you guys do, where you're at, are you open for COVID, and some of those details.
Yeah, sure. We are located over by the fairgrounds in Tampa, just north of the casino off 301, just outside the city limits of Tampa. And we are definitely open. We have taken a lot of precautions, necessary precautions for the whole COVID situation, extra sanitizing, limiting group sizes, but we do have guided tours running all day, 7 days a week.
So talk a little bit about your place. You guys were established there in January of 2005, right, as a sanctuary for unwanted reptiles. Is that right?
Yeah. That was the start of it, January 2005. I had been working with reptiles for a long time before that. I had been doing a lot of work with alligators before that, and I saw a need for a place to take in unwanted wildlife, especially the alligators and crocodiles. We started building up enclosures. We started building through the years, getting larger and larger, taking in unwanted animals. We mainly work with alligators and crocodiles. Now, we get them from all over the country. We'll get them from zoos. We get them from aquariums. Even people who have them as pets, they realize, hey, this alligator got a little too big. They'll make arrangements to ship that alligator down to us. So that's where most of them come from.
So
even our big guys. I'm sorry, go ahead.
John, I want to ask a little bit, because a lot of people, right, like especially people that move here from other states, the question I get every single time when there's a little body of water in the back of the house is they're like, is there gators in there? Like every time.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm like, listen, any body of water in Florida, there can be a gator. Don't feed them, that sort of stuff. But I would love to know what got you on this path, because not everybody goes, hey, I'm going to open a nonprofit sanctuary for crocs and, alligators people don't want.
Well, the thing is, I had a very strong interest always in reptiles, and there just was a need for a place to take in the unwanted alligators and crocodiles. And also, our real mission is twofold. It's not only providing a home, but it's also providing an educational experience so that people can learn about the alligators, learn about crocodiles. We have many different species of crocodiles as well. Most crocodiles are endangered. It's a great experience for people to learn about the animals, to appreciate the animals, and to help conserve them in the wild as well.
Now, I found it very interesting that you said that you take in alligators and crocs that people have as a pet.
Yeah, who has an alligator for a pet?
Can you explain that to me? Because I really do not understand that one.
Well, laws and regulations vary greatly state by state of what animals people can have, and if there's a legal ability to have an alligator as a pet. In some states, especially northern states where it's not going to be a problem with it. If an alligator escapes, it's going to die over winter. It's not going to become established. It's not going to put people in harm's way. In certain areas, they really never made it illegal. Now, is it a huge problem? No, there's not like thousands upon thousands of alligators looking for homes.
How does anyone even get a pet alligator?
You know, depending on the area where they are available. Some pet stores might have them. You can order them to online or something like that.
So are they?
Like I said, it's not a real
I
big
can't even
problem.
believe someone that. Or I was thinking like, maybe a baby gator was born and abandoned. Like that's what I'm thinking in my head.
No, if you can get a box of chickens delivered to your doorstep second day air, you can get an alligator.
Yeah, you definitely can, depending on where you live and depending on regulations and things like that. A lot of times, the more rural areas won't have that, illegal to have in certain states. And that's just because it's a public safety issue. They don't want, certain areas of people to have the alligators and crocodiles and things like that. Other states, there's extensive licensing programs. Florida has a lot of regulations, a lot of licensing, as does a lot of states. And even people that have licenses, just like zoos or aquariums, they get to points where they don't want the alligator anymore. The alligators have gotten too big. They've got too many. It's time for a new exhibit. We'll work with those kind of places too. It doesn't have to be just the person keeping it in their house. It's regulation. It's places like that where they, they're changing their focus or they just have too many animals. We even work with a few zoos where we'll take in the larger alligators and we'll send them some small little guys so they can use them for education, use them for exhibits. When they get too big, we'll swap them out again.
So how many do you guys have?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I couldn't give you an exact number.
Do you have an idea?
Roughly we have maybe about 150 alligators, maybe about 30 or 40 crocodiles and other animals. Overall, over 300 animals.
Okay, I got a quiz for Leo. What's the difference between an alligator and a croc?
I mean, there's lots of differences, but the easiest way to tell is to look at the nose.
All right, what else? John?
You're asking me? Well, there's a lot of differences. Alligators and crocodiles, he said looking at the snout, definitely that's a good way to tell them. Alligators have a rounder, more U-shaped snout. Crocodile, it's more pointy. Alligators have about 80 teeth, half on top, half on the bottom. But a crocodile, he actually has less teeth than the alligator. But if you look at the crocodile's face, he has a more aggressive, more toothy smile, as we like to say, because more teeth are exposed. With the alligator, most of his teeth fit inside of his jaw. Colorations can be different. Alligators, everyone thinks they're green. They're not green. They're black. When they're juvenile, they're black and yellow. Crocodiles can be gray, tan, a variety of different shades of that, but they're not that same dark black like the alligators. Another big difference is their toleration of salt water. Alligators, they're a freshwater animal. Can they live in brackish? Yes, they definitely can. Can they go into salt water? Sure. They can go out for the day. They can go to the beach and hang out, but they usually are going to go back to fresh water at the end of the day. But a crocodile, he's more adapted to excrete that salt from his body. So he can go live out in complete saline, complete saltwater environments and excrete that salt. So that's one of the big differences, is their tolerance for salt water.
Oh, I got a question for Katrina now that she asked me one. So,
Don't ask
Katrina, do you
me.
know why the baby alligators are actually black and yellow?
I don't, but I live on the water, so I've seen them in the water behind me.
There's a very
But I've never
specific
seen
reason.
I've never seen a baby at all that's black and yellow. They're always black. I've never seen
No,
a
they're
baby.
usually black with yellow stripes.
Never seen them. Never noticed that.
You want to take the answer, John?
Yeah, definitely. That color pattern, that black and yellow, that helps the juveniles blend into the environment better. So you think about an alligator that lives, at the water's edge. There's some aquatic vegetation. There's some reeds. There's some things like that. Those yellow bands help that alligator to blend in a little bit better.
Is it right down their back? And where does it come
No,
from?
because they're vertical.
No, it's vertical going down their side.
So it looks like blades of
yellow
grass.
band, yellow stripe.
So where does it come from?
The mother.
skin.
The mother gives it to
And
them.
when they're born, they're going to have that coloration.
Huh.
Now,
Sure, there's a scientific reason why.
Hey, John. What? So you keep mentioning that you have other animals. What other type of reptiles do you guys have?
Well, we've got a lot of different kinds of reptiles. Outside of reptiles, we have some fish, we have some birds, macaws, things like that. But in the reptile area, we have lots of turtles, lots of pet turtles that people have had, and have brought to us through the years. We've got probably over 100 aquatic turtles. We've got a big pond in the middle where all those aquatic turtles live. They're all we're doing great living together happily in this big enclosure. These are turtles that, were former pets that people had. They had them in a tank in their house, and they realized that, hey, turtles are a tremendous amount of cleaning and work, and they just didn't want them anymore. So they'll bring them to us. We'll keep them in that enclosure. And even when we do the tours, that's one of the interactions. You get to stop by that turtle pond and feed pellets, turtle pellets to all these turtles in this big enclosure.
I tell you what, we were on the boat last Sunday, and I saw the biggest sea turtle I've ever seen.
Yeah.
How big was it?
He was huge. I mean, really, he was big.
It was large too.
No, but do they're not on the surface much, are they? Because I've never really seen them.
You gotta
seen
breathe.
Dolphins a lot. Seen manatees.
Yeah, they have to breathe. They have to come up and breathe.
Well, he was just like chilling right on the top, and there's a little sandbar that's out there that a lot of boats kind of park around. So it ends up being like this big pool in the ocean, and he was right there. Anyway, okay, so when we come back, John, let's talk a little bit about what you get to do on the tour and some of the other frequently asked questions you get. Our off-air number,
813-377-2775. That's 813-377-2775. You can text the word
turtle or croc.
And
Croc Doc.
What do they get in return?
10 seconds.
We'll figure that out when we come back.
I'll figure it out when we come back. Thank you
We'll
for
talk
listening.
to John and figure it out.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome back to Tampa Home Talk. This is Adam Talley, joined by Katrina Madewell, Realtor Extraordinaire, and Leo Kane with Barrel Project Engineering and Inspections. If you want your inspector to be a licensed engineer, you got to go to Barrel.
And alligator wrestler.
And alligator wrestler, John Painter with Croc Encounters.
No.
This is a very exciting show today.
Is it indoor or outdoor, or what is it? Like, can you describe the environment?
Yeah, that's a great question. We get that call all the time, asking us if it's indoors or outdoors. We are 100% outdoors. The only exception is we have a covered pavilion that we use for events, birthdays, schools, things like that. But it's 100% outdoors. We have raised boardwalks, so if it's wet conditions, your feet are going to be dry. If it starts to rain, we've got plenty of umbrellas, but it is completely outdoors, so that does help with the current situation as well.
How do you contain the gators?
Well, the alligators are all inside enclosures, so it's
Okay.
very safe. We have different enclosures for different kinds of alligators, different kinds of reptiles. We'll have different species of crocodiles along the way. We'll have multiple enclosures for different size alligators. But yes, they're all contained, so you're not going to get eaten when you get there.
So is anyone actually holding the alligator? Like, what do they do on the tours?
Well, that is a good question, and they will be able to hold an alligator on the tours. We have an interaction. We have to specially make this to be in more compliance with, social distancing and requirements right now. We have a pen where we have a small alligator, a juvenile, maybe a 3-foot alligator, and you get to go in that enclosure. He's taped up, of course, because we don't want anyone to get hurt. You're able to pick up the alligator, pet the alligator, take pictures with the alligator.
How much does a 3-foot alligator weigh? Because I thought they were heavy.
Oh, no, he's not that heavy. That size alligator is a couple pounds. Even small children can pick the alligator up.
Alligators are pretty light.
It's going to be a big one.
Okay.
They're mostly teeth.
I don't know. I'm just... I wonder... Like, so how does that do? Because I know, obviously, if you live on the water or whatever and there's gators, you're not supposed to feed them or interact with them or anything. So how does that work for them in the sanctuary type setting where people are holding them? Like, how do the gators, what's the long-term impact on them?
Well, it's not wild. They're not wild alligators. These are all captive alligators. Like, they're never going to go back into the wild.
Okay.
So there's no concern of the alligator, becoming used to people. These are all alligators that were at other places or things like that. So they're never returning back to the wild. So there's really no concern of that alligator, getting used to people or anything like that.
Okay. I don't know. So
I just like letting you ask all the questions. You're like in complete awe here.
Yeah.
This is
I'm
amazing.
just trying to think about how. Can you explain
Speechless.
the tour? Like, I'm just trying to think about how the tour goes.
Why don't you go do a tour?
Yeah, you want to do a tour.
Yeah, take the kids. You
That's
got
the
kids.
best way to
got tons of
experience
kids.
is
My
to.
kids are teenagers. They are not interested in any of that.
Oh, all you have to do is tell them alligators are baby dinosaurs.
There you go.
Yeah, my kids are.
Leo doesn't
Plenty
have
of
kids.
families, even with teenagers.
My kids are 14 and
we
17.
So, John, do you have a snake exhibit at your place, or is it just strictly the crocs and gators and turtles?
No, we do have snakes. We don't have all the snakes that we currently have on exhibit. That's something we're working on, is adding more snake enclosures and adding some more variety in them. But we do have some snakes on exhibit. We also have a interaction area where we have a small snake, like a ball python, that the public's able to touch and pick up for pictures. So you also will get a chance to, do a little petting of that snake and pick them up and take pictures with them as well, and that's included with the tour.
Can I get my traditional photo? I'm holding a baby alligator and I've got a boa around my neck. Can I get that?
Well, we don't have the boas for the interactions, but we do have the baby alligators. So you would be able to do that part at least. The snake is in a separate area. You'd be able to hold that snake and do a picture. We don't combine the two just to keep things a little bit easier right now.
Yeah, I just remember growing up, it was at some gator farm, and I had that traditional picture. I'm holding the baby alligator, and I've got the snake around my neck, and I look terrified.
Well, we
It's
can
exciting.
make the exception for you. If you let us know in advance, we can make
There
the
you go,
exception.
Leo.
We can definitely do that for you.
Well, I don't think I'd be terrified in this scenario. I think Katrina
I
might
am
be.
not putting a snake around my neck. I'm just
You're
saying.
not a snake person,
I am
Katrina?
not. No, I will not do that. And no,
Will you
I
hold?
don't
will
even
you
think
hold
I will
the
touch
baby?
the gator. No, I don't think so.
Oh, come on! How have you not done this?
I'll watch you guys do it.
Okay.
I don't need to touch animals. Animals that don't want to be touched, I don't go out of my way to touch. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm scared of them. I just respect the fact they don't like being touched.
So I
How about the
mean,
chickens, though?
you.
I don't touch them.
Oh.
I won't even tell you the chicken story, but anyway.
A pet-free petting zoo over at Leo's house.
Yeah.
No, my daughter had this chicken. She literally would take the chicken swimming in the pool.
Yeah, I could see that.
And the chicken loved it. She would just hang out in her lap like a dog.
Oh, do your gators jump, John? Or is any showmanship with the gators?
Well, the alligators, I'll be honest with you, they're very, they're well fed. They're very well taken care of. They don't get extremely aggressive at feeding time. That's because we do, offer food on a regular basis. In some of the enclosures, they will definitely jump up for the food that we're throwing to them. Other ones, they're just so used to, living that life where everything's handed to them that they don't do the same jumps and that like that. In the tour, though, there will be stops along the way where we are feeding the crocodiles and alligators. We'll lure them up with chicken. We'll try to get them to jump for the chicken. There's even a spot where the public gets to feed the alligators. We've got an enclosure with about 100 alligators. We have a pellet diet. It looks like dog food. It's a special diet both for alligators and crocodiles, the zoo diet. And they get to throw those pellets into the alligators and feed them themselves, too.
That's
so
pretty...
a lot of opportunity for that.
That's pretty neat when you're using the pellets, because I've done this before at some of these places. When you throw the pellet in, the gator will actually do its natural jump twist move. So when the gator likes to grab and when it bites, it wants to kind of tear into its prey and drag it down to the bottom. So even on these small little pellets, it'll kind of leave the water a little bit to do that twist move, and it'll kind of grab it and twist down. I'm not doing a good job explaining it.
No, I'm following you.
Because I have hand motions. But it's kind of neat to see it even do it on something like a pellet where it could just open its mouth and clamp shut.
I was going to ask you what all they eat. So they eat chicken and these gator food diet pellets.
We feed fish. We feed chicken. And then we also will feed sometimes some rodents, like frozen rodents we'll buy from like suppliers. Like rodents we'd feed our snakes. We'll also give them to some of the alligators and crocodiles. And then, of course, the pellet diet as well. So we try to mix it up, give them a varied diet. Some of them, they don't really like fish. Some don't like chicken. Some love the pellets. Other ones don't. So we try to offer some different things.
Have you ever gotten bit?
I've never lost a finger or anything that significant, but I've had a few bites through the years. It's going to happen.
Like where? How?
Just on hands, like handling the alligators and that.
See, this is why I don't touch animals that don't want to be touched. I have never been bitten by a wild animal.
I mean, I'm sure that's...
Have you been pecked at, though, by your chickens?
No, they come up to me and they know that I'm a source of food. So and I'm not the source of food. I am a source holding food.
Correct. Yes.
So have you guys done any like field trips or anything? Because it sounds like you've got a pretty good sanctuary of like animals and information there.
We do field trips. We do them on site and we do them off site. So some schools would prefer to have us come out to them. We definitely do that. Usually in the summer months, we start booking up as early as December. And then by, May, it's 100% booked. This year it's a little different situation. So
Yeah.
we still have a lot of openings.
The whole world's different this year.
We'll go to that.
I'd like to see a gator in a mask. That'd be cute.
Yeah, have you ever done like the Great American Teach-In, and do you take a gator with you?
We have done the teach-in a couple times, and we don't do a tremendous amount of the teach-in, but we do go out for the teach-in usually every year for a couple schools.
So do you take animals with you?
We would take something with us, yes, if we went.
How do you transport an alligator? I'm very curious.
In a suitcase.
It's going to depend on the size of the alligator, of course. Like if we're talking about like a 8-foot, 10-foot alligator, that's something that goes into like a wooden crate. Smaller alligators, we just use like plastic boxes with a lock and a latch, air holes on the side, and that's usually the safest and most comfortable because it's dark and soft inside. We'll put some bedding in there, and the little alligator does just fine. But for the big guys, that's something that's got to go into a large wooden crate.
Would you take the big ones with you, like to a school for a field trip?
We usually aren't taking big alligators for things like that. We're taking usually 8 to 10 different reptiles: snakes, lizards, turtles, tortoises, and then a small alligator, like a 3-foot alligator. It's a typical school program. If they come to us, we do the same program, but they get a tour of the facility. So either way, we're still doing that program with the 8 to 10 different reptiles.
And you guys actually do events too, right?
We will do events. Again, unfortunately, this year, not so much with the events. A lot of things have been canceling, but we will do events where they're looking for something that's entertaining, also looking for something that's educational. And we custom build the events of what the places are looking for. We'll do exhibits with multiple different animals and different stations that people can walk by, learn about the animals. We do photo ops, different things to meet the needs of that event.
How long do the tours take?
The tours are about an hour and a half from start to finish. We do them, in all weather. But like I said, we have umbrellas and raised boardwalks. So, a typical Florida day might get some rain, but it's usually fast passing, and it works out just fine.
So, Pat, are you still with us?
Of course I am.
Okay, why don't we give away a family pack of tickets to Croc Encounters?
Well, they're going to have to call or text.
Well, they can't call?
No, because our guest
because the guest is on the line.
yeah.
We can't call.
So,
Let
John
me call
is...
that number that you love giving out.
Yeah.
John's gracious enough
What
to
is that?
actually give you guys a
813?
family tour.
Yeah, love to actually give out a family tour. So how do we do this? We're going to put Mimi on notice?
Yeah. Yeah, just call or text Croc Encounter to 813-377-2775. Again, 813-377-2775. And we will take the first one.
Yeah, we'll take the first one, and then we'll provide you a family pack of fun afternoon excitement.
Hey, John, can we do a discount on anyone else that has an inquiry? Can we do a little percentage if they mention Tampa Home Talk or they mention my name?
Yeah, we can do that. Let me see here.
Now we put him on the spot. I just wanted to give away tickets. Now you want to make everyone get a discount.
Well, I mean, I know more than one person's going to ask. And so we only have
Okay,
one.
Sure, we can definitely do that. We could just do like a 10% off for anyone that does that.
Okay. All right, so just text Croc Encounter to 813-377-2775, or just even Croc is fine.
Yeah, the first person will get a set of tickets, and everyone else will get a discount code. You got to use the word Katrina to get 10% off.
Or Tampa Home Talk works. And John, when we come back, or actually, what's the cost to get in? Is it normally like a family price? Is it per person? What's the cost?
Well, generally speaking, we do the family price. And what we do is it's $99 for groups of up to 5. That includes the guided tour and all the animal interaction. So that includes the feeding of the turtles, the feeding of the tortoises. I don't think we talked about that, but we've got a big pen with 25 adult tortoises.
Oh, we should talk about that when we come back.
All right.
Very excited about that.
You've started singing to Leo's heart, so stick around. He's definitely going to want to talk
I
about
got
that
lots
when
of
we come
tortoise questions when we come back.
back. All right,
I'll do my best.
813-377-2775. We'll find out if we have a winner, and we'll be back in just a moment.
Well, Well, good morning. Welcome back, Tampa Home Talk. This next segment's all about the tortoises, all about the turtles. Here on the Tampa Home Talk, we've got John from Croc Encounters. Oh,
And before we dive in,
yes, go ahead and tell us who our winner is.
well, the winner for the family tour is Cindy Rosenberg. And Cindy will get you connected with John. Thank you for listening, and let us know about the Croc Encounter. We want to know all about the experience. So you may remember we had Alton in with the Tampa Bay Tornadoes, the arena football.
Oh, I'm sad about this.
We were supposed to have really great tickets, remember, and like this whole experience.
Yeah, let's remind our listeners
Canceled.
that the opening game tomorrow
It's canceled.
is now canceled.
No football this year. I don't think there's going to be any college football either. Did you see that somewhere officially, Pat, or it's pretty much just no?
No, just why there's not a whole bunch of chit-chat about it and the way the rumors are headed and what the news is saying. And pretty much when I listen to sports stations, that's what the sportscasters are saying.
Spring football is what I hear, Pat.
Yeah, probably spring.
Do you think they'll change the schedule, or do you think they just...
It'll be shorter.
But do you think they'll change the schedule, or they're just not going to do it at all?
I think there's going to be something in the spring, like Adam said.
You do? So you'll think they'll extend the year?
Yeah.
Let us start. Well, I think at least with the NFL, they'll be able to see how MLB and the NBA and everybody kind of handles what they got going on. They at least get the value of time there. But I think college, it's hard to put unpaid athletes in that position.
Unpaid party athletes.
I mean, they should be getting paid, but that's a different conversation for a different radio show.
But they're not.
Hey, we got
And,
9 minutes left to discuss tortoises.
Tortoises.
I
I
am
know,
sorry,
can't
this
wait.
conversation
Listen,
back.
All
he
you.
does not want to talk about football.
I do not want to talk about football.
Yeah. We only have 9 minutes, and this is going to be a slow segment, so hurry up.
Yeah, Leo.
'Cause it's about
Did you see
turtles.
Leo check out the minute we start talking about football? He's like, yeah, I'm done.
I'm done bringing this conversation back. So, John, what is the largest tortoises you have on site?
Well, the largest ones we have, they're called African spurthi or African sulcatas. It's the third largest species. The biggest ones we have, we've got two big guys. The biggest ones are named Frank and Tank, and they're about
Frank and
150
Tank.
pounds. So they're a big tortoise.
Oh, those are still babies, though. They're less than 50 years old?
Yeah, they're definitely less than 50 years old. They can be very, very long-lived, and max size is you're up around 250 to 300 pounds. So they're about halfway there to how big they're going to get. These ones that we have, they're probably about, I'm going to say maybe 30 inches.
What's their
fairly-
lifespan?
150 years.
It is?
Yeah.
They're very long-lived.
I thought I heard him say that, but I was like, really?
Yeah, it's one of those pets that you pass down from generation to generation. They're awesome to have as pets. They're like moving coffee tables.
I'm surprised you don't have turtles.
I do not want a pet that's going to outlive me and the children I'm not having. So,
Oh, got it.
yeah. Again, I respect a lot of animals, and if they don't like to be touched and they don't need to be in captivity, I don't do that.
So you don't want any children?
No.
You and your wife are young.
They don't want to be touched and they don't want to be in captivity. That I will not have children. This
Got
is
it.
about the tortoises. So we've got the skelettas, this is the African skelettas, which are the third largest tortoise on the planet. Do you have any gopher tortoises, redfoots, things of that nature, the more commonly found ones here in Florida?
We don't have any gophers. We have redfoots. We have a nice group of redfoots. I think we have about 9 or 10 adult redfoots in another enclosure. Then we also have Greek tortoises, and we have Russian tortoises.
Yeah, so the Greeks and the Russians, those are common pet store tortoises, I like to say. So do you get sourced your tortoises from people who no longer want them when they get to their 18 to 24-inch size?
That's where most of the tortoises will come from. But like the Russians and the Greeks, we don't get a lot of calls for that because they're a really good pet tortoise. They don't get very big. They're easy to keep. If you move, you can easily take them with you. So those work out really well. The big guys, they sound like they're going to be great, and they are really a great animal for the right person. But in certain applications, in certain situations, it just doesn't work out having this big tortoise. So that's why we get a lot of calls for the bigger guys.
Okay, now let's move on to your turtles. You got some box turtles, some slider turtles. What kind of turtles do we have here? And do your turtles share encounters with the alligators?
No, they don't share the enclosures with the alligators because the alligators and crocodiles will eat the turtles. So that is a natural part of their diet. So we don't really like to do that. So we have separate areas for them. As far as turtles go, we have many different kinds. I'm going to try to just name a few off the top of my head. We have red-eared sliders, definitely a bunch of those. We've got yellow bellies. We've got Mississippi map turtles, peninsula cooter, snapping turtles, Florida soft shells. I'm sure I'm missing some. There's so many different species all living together in that enclosure.
And just for the sake of our listening audience who might not know the difference, what is the difference between the tortoise and the turtle?
Well, the real big difference is that a tortoise is a specific kind of turtle. It's a kind of turtle who lives on the dry land. Where in a turtle, when you say the word turtle, it's really meaning an aquatic version. The aquatic turtle having webbed feet, a smooth shell to glide through the water. The land tortoise, he's got a bigger, more domed shell and stumpy trunk-like legs. That's how you can tell them apart, is by looking at their feet. If they got feet like a duck, it's an aquatic turtle. If it's got feet like a little elephant, that is a land tortoise.
And there's no in between, right?
The only in between that I would say is like a box turtle. Because a box turtle lives in marshy areas. They're technically a turtle, but they spend a lot of time on the land. To me, that's kind of a gray area in between, but they are technically a turtle.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's why we talked about snakes, we talked about turtles, we talked about alligators, and we talked about crocodiles. This was a very, very zooistic hour.
And
your
bears, oh my.
birds.
Yeah, no bears.
Well, your birds that you have, I noticed that you said you have macaws, right?
Yes, we do.
Were these people's pets or?
Well, we have several different birds. These are all like former pets that people had that they had for a very, very long time, and we had acquired them. We also have another bird. His name is Tortuga. He is a blue and gold macaw. He wasn't really someone's pet. He just showed up in somebody's backyard. And what they did is they went around the neighborhood asking people, did anybody lose a bird? Nobody knew anything about it. So that's where he came from. But the vast majority of the animals, they're coming from zoos or from people that had them as pets.
What's the lifespan of the macaws? They're pretty long too, aren't they?
They're very long-lived too. They can be up to 100 years, 80 years. They're a long-lived animal too.
How long?
Like 80 years you'd have on a big bird.
Wow. Well, John, it has been an amazing hour. Thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for bringing something cool to Tampa Home Talk. We always love to highlight local attractions and businesses, and quite an amazing experience I'm sure someone will have. We'll have to arrange a tour for our group and give you a little bit of a Facebook plug and a little tour of some of the cool things to see. All right. Stick around. We'll be back for hour number 2. I've got an exciting little sneak peek into my book. So some of this content for the next hour, I actually just wrote it for the book. It's one of the last pieces I added, and we're going to share it with you on the air.
Where's the insurance section of your book? What chapter is that?
We'll come back next hour.
It's a 2-page tip of the day.